Most people assume that without fuel, warmth is impossible. But, Vikings knew better. They lived through winters that were longer, darker, and harsher than what most people face today, often with limited access to wood or peat. If warmth depended on burning something constantly, entire settlements would have vanished. What kept Viking homes livable was a method that treated heat as something to be captured, stored, and protected rather than endlessly produced. This was not guesswork or folklore. It was the result of generations refining how buildings interact with the human body, the earth, and the surrounding air. Why Vikings focused on heating space indirectly rather than heating air. Vikings understood a principle modern heating systems still struggle with. Heated air escapes fast, but heated mass stays warm. Their goal was not to warm the air temporarily, but to warm the room itself. Walls, floors, furniture, and even people became part of the heating system. You can apply this immediately by shifting attention away from heaters and toward what surrounds you. Stone, brick, clay, and even water absorb warmth and release it slowly. A room with thermal mass will feel warmer for longer, even after the heat source is gone. How Viking rooms were shaped to trap warmth where people actually lived. Viking living spaces were compact, low-ceilinged, and intentionally confined. Warm air rises, and Vikings made sure it stayed close to where people sat, slept, and worked. Large open spaces were avoided because they wasted heat. To replicate this today, start by reducing the volume of air you need to warm. Close off unused rooms. Use heavy curtains to divide spaces. Lower ceiling height where possible with lofts or suspended fabric. The goal is not decoration, but concentration of warmth. Why Viking walls mattered more than fires. Walls were the backbone of Viking heating. They were thick, layered, and heavy. Timber frames were packed with turf, moss, clay, straw, and sometimes animal hair. These materials stopped wind completely while trapping air inside their structure. Wind was the real enemy. Cold, still air could be endured. Moving air stripped warmth instantly. A practical step today is sealing drafts before adding heat. Door gaps, window leaks, and thin walls waste more warmth than most people realize. Dense, airtight insulation matters more than heater size, just as Vikings discovered long before modern tools existed. So, here's something interesting. Viking floors quietly provided warmth without any real effort. Many Viking homes had packed earth floors that were mixed with clay, ash, and lime. These floors would absorb heat from bodies, cooking, and sunlight during the day, and then, release it slowly at night. And because many homes were partially sunken into the ground, the soil beneath actually stayed warmer than the winter air outside. To apply this idea today, just add thermal mass at floor level. Stone tiles near windows, brick hearths, or even thick rugs over insulated floors can really help stabilize temperature. And if you have a basement or a room that's in contact with the ground, it's a good idea to use it as a primary living or sleeping space during those colder months. Sunlight wasn't just seen as a source of light, it was actually treated as a heating tool. Even during those northern winters, Vikings paid close attention to the sun. Living spaces were oriented to capture that low winter sunlight. Plus, dark surfaces inside would absorb whatever little solar warmth was available and, hang on to it for as long as possible. This method still works, First, identify where winter sunlight enters your room. Then, place dense materials there intentionally. Things like clay pots filled with water, stone slabs, or even brick walls will soak up heat during daylight and release it after sunset. Honestly, this requires no technology at all, just thoughtful placement. So why did shared body heat play a larger role than most people realize? Well, Vikings did not bother heating empty rooms. Instead, families gathered in shared spaces, slept close together, and layered their clothing intelligently. Human bodies generate constant warmth, and Viking homes were actually designed to retain that heat. These days, modern life often isolates folks into separate heated rooms, which really multiplies energy needs. A simple application of Viking logic is to centralize living activity. Just use one main room during cold periods, and when it's safe and appropriate, sleep closer together. Concentrated warmth in this way lasts a whole lot longer. So, let's talk about how animals were actually used to stabilize indoor temperature. In many Viking settlements, livestock were housed in attached or lower-level spaces. The animal body heat would rise up into the human living areas, especially at night. And, this was not accidental. It was really part of the whole building system. Now, while most modern viewers probably won't be housing animals indoors, the lesson still applies to heat-generating processes. Kitchens, laundry areas, compost systems, and greenhouses all produce warmth. So if you place them adjacent to living spaces, their heat can be reused rather than just lost. Why Viking ventilation did not steal warmth. Despite those thick walls, Viking homes were never sealed airtight. Smoke holes and controlled airflow allowed stale air and moisture to escape slowly. Warm air exited at the highest point, while cooler air entered lower down. This prevented condensation and sickness without draining heat. Today, this principle is echoed in passive ventilation systems. Avoid excessive venting. Let air move slowly and intentionally. Warmth should linger, not rush out. The Viking trick was never a single invention. It was a mindset. Heat is precious. Capture it, store it, protect it, reuse it. These principles are timeless because they follow physical laws that have not changed. If this kind of grounded, historically proven knowledge matters to you, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom. Share this with someone who values self-reliance, and help keep these lessons alive. The past still offers solutions for those willing to learn from it.